Hey guys, it's your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great commentary. First, a toast to I don't even know what, and some delicious whole milk. And like I've said before, you are not allowed to watch this channel if you drink skim 2% or 1% milk, because you are scum. Whole milk only here. Yeah, I mean, you can probably tell I'm a bit under the weather. I've been sick for a few days. I had a COVID test today, and it's not COVID. I guess it's just the cold. Seems like I'm getting better, but Jesus, what a pain in the balls. Um, yeah, I tried to make a video for you guys a couple of days ago about the time that I threatened to kill my sister, but it just wasn't a very good story, so I decided to I decided not to post it. Um, this one's a little bit better though. This one's a little bit more interesting, and this is just like my overall experience with astrology, and I'll tell you what astrologers have told me, and just thoughts about it. Um, I guess I was always like most people. I just assumed astrology was nonsense. I didn't really give it much thought. Even after I developed, in my early 20s is when I started developing an interest in paranormal stuff. I didn't really think much about astrology because I just assumed it was bullshit. It didn't, Also, it seems to be something more that like women are into, and not like I'm like the world's most masculine guy or anything, but I don't know. I guess I try to I'm not gonna when I see that it's more of a woman thing, I'm gonna be kind of wary of going anywhere near it. Um, you know, the one thing that I noticed actually when I was young, like before I thought about paranormal shit one way or the other, was like just like how incredibly hostile some like of people would be to astrology. Like people like it's like people who are really into science. I think it was like when first I noticed it was my ninth grade science teacher. Who was like the world's nicest guy. He's I don't know like how religious he was, but he said he was religious, and very like always big on being like tolerant of other people's beliefs and stuff. But when astrology came up, he would get pissed. He would get like really angry and frustrated, and it came up once because we were studying something about constellations. And this is like a teacher's not supposed to be saying that shit, like supposed to be giving you their thing, saying shit like astrology is nonsense or something, and he's just supposed to teach the constellations or whatever. But he insisted on going into this commentary about how astrology was bullshit, and you could tell it was something that like it wasn't just saying like him like saying oh it's bullshit. You could tell it was something that like really upset him, like the idea of astrology pissed him off. And I had a calculus tutor in my late 20s, early 30s, and he was a physicist. Same type of thing, man. He like astrology. I mean, he didn't get angry about it. But he really, I mean, he was like he would like at least like listen to like other stuff of paranormal stuff. He'd at least hear about it. But with astrology, he would just shut down. He'd like roll his eyes and say like, "Nah, it's nonsense. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense." Whereas I saw him, he'd be open to other paranormal stuff, even if he didn't believe it. Um, the So yeah, I mean that's just kind of an observation. So some people really don't like astrology. I guess I think people who are really into space and science seem to be prone to not liking astrology. Um, yeah. So, but anyway, then like my first experience with astrology then would have been when there was this. I was working this job, this temp job, where my job was to older. It wasn't a sales job. Older people would call in and say like, "Yo, I want to sign up for this Medicare plan." This like some like Medicare, like Medicare's got like a million different supplemental plans. So I want to sign up for this Medicare supplement plan, and my job was basically to read them this like endless fine print. And I was in a call center where everybody else is doing the same thing, and and then answer like a few basic questions, fill it out, send them on their way. It wasn't the worst job I ever had, but certainly didn't enjoy it. Anyway, there was this one day that there was this like insane snowstorm in our area. So like barely anybody came in. It was like, this is a call center that usually had like at least 100 people in it. And on this day, there was maybe like 10 people. And like in the section of the part that we were in, there was me, there was my shift supervisor, and there was the woman who I drove to work that day because there had been something like 20 inches of snow. And there weren't any calls coming in, so we were just sitting around talking. And the shift supervisor was mentioning to me, just started talking about, astrology or something. And I didn't really. I mean, I guess I wasn't really too interested, but whatever. She'd mentioned some things, and then so I started. I was just Googling stuff since we were on the computer and no calls were coming in, and she started like asking things like about me and seeing like does that match up with what the astrology says, and I was reading it and it was actually matching pretty well, and like it was like some of the stuff was matching well to me. And then she was telling me stories about her boyfriend, and she said, oh yeah, look his up, and she said it matched well to him. So I was like, that's intriguing, but that was where it left. I didn't think more about it then. But so how are we doing for time? Okay, so then there was this time, right, and this was what got me more into it. You can look it up. It's still online. I'm too lazy to put it in the video. So if somebody finds it, you can stick it in the comments, and I'll make it a pinned comment. There's this video with Michael Shermer had this show where he debunked paranormal stuff, and he has this guy, this Jeffrey Armstrong, I think his name was, who is this Vedic astrologer. So Michael Shermer's like on the show, he's like he does these things where he debunks paranormal thing, like where he debunks spoon bending, the other thing, blah 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 blah, and then this was supposed to be to debunk astrology, and but he didn't really pick a very good target. He picks this Jeffrey Armstrong guy, who he says like, well, I don't do astrology, I do Vedic astrology or Hindu astrology, I don't know which one they call it. He said because this is scientific astrology as opposed to Western astrology, whatever. So for the first part of the show, what he does is he brings in a former astrologer, and he talks to her first, and she says like, yeah, I gave up doing astrology when I realized that what I was really doing was practicing psychiatry without a license. So she's going to sit there with Michael Shermer and evaluate Jeffrey Armstrong doing a reading of like, I don't know, some random chick they got. I don't know how they got her. I can't remember. I saw the video a while ago. So he's doing it and he's doing well, and then the former astrologer chick is watching with Michael Shermer, saying like, talking about what he's doing. He's like, yeah, you see, he got his hit there. He probably saw this and then said this. Basically, she just accused him of cold reading, and then they interviewed the chick at the chick who was getting the reading at the end, and she said, she said, Jeffrey absolutely blew me away. He was great. I didn't expect that. It was really good. It was totally accurate. Okay, so you can probably get where this is going, right? This is going to set up like, this is how, if you've seen the show, this is what he does. You see the first part where it's like, okay, there might be something there. And then there's like the real acid test where, it's just like, garbage. Like you see like, or they've got something that really proves it wrong. And something that really proves it wrong. And so what they did was, and this was clever. This was clever what he did. He gets 9 people, right? He gets 9 people in a room, and they give Jeffrey Armstrong their gender, their date of birth, and their location of birth, along with their time of birth, like the time of day that they're born. So he's got 10 minutes to look at each of these and come up with like a brief reading, which isn't going to be like, it's going to be like, because he said normally, a reading takes like an hour or something. He's going to do, 10 minutes for each of them to come up with a quick reading. And then each person is then going to take the reading that was for them, I'm sorry, each person is going to sit there and listen to Jeffrey say what reading he got for them on a pre-recorded thing. So it's going to be recorded on a reading he got for them, and they're going to say, okay, this was right, this was right, this was right, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, and they were going to total up and see what was the percentage that was right. Okay, that's good, right? So we go around to each of the 9 people, or however many it was. Maybe it was 7. I don't remember. Maybe it was 6. Who cares? So the first person, like 80-something%. Second person is in the 90s or some shit. So I don't know. They're all really high. They're all in the high 80s or the 90s. They're all really good. Until we get to the last 2. And what he did then is, Michael Shermer then, is he switched it. He had the person who was second to last get the last person's reading, and the person who was last get the second to last person's reading. And now, what was supposed to happen, right? What was supposed to say is like, oh, okay, all these people, they got high ratings and stuff, but that's because it's all general bullshit. Actually, when we switch the last 2, we're going to get great ratings for them as well, which proves it's all just, bullshit and general stuff. But instead, it completely backfired. Instead, it came out the other way around. It was like completely bombed for the first 2. Like the people who they were all saying like, oh no, this is horrible. It's not. This is like incredible. Like it was like in the 30s and 40s in terms of accuracy, which is still better than nothing, but it was really bad. And then Shermer was like, okay, well, you know what? We actually switched it. So let's see what it's like when we switch it back to normal. And then sure enough, when you switched it back to the way it was supposed to be, they were both in the 90s. They were both in the 90% range. So, didn't work out for Michael Shermer in that one. I'm not sure why they even aired the episode. But anyway, when I saw this, I was super impressed. I was like, wow. We really got something here. So, I looked the guy up and I found out he actually, gave readings. So I went and I had a reading done. And so I was expecting the reading. He was cool. He was a nice. I got the reading done with him. He was a nice guy. Excuse me. Indigestion. But the complaint that I would have about him is that I was expecting the reading to be more like it was in the show, where it was just like he just tells you all this stuff and then you can decide if it's accurate or not. Instead, it was much more consultative. So he would say stuff like, hey, does this sound right? Does this sound right? It's like more like, so you didn't really always necessarily know when he was like telling you something or when he was asking you something. I know that makes it sound really bad, but if you could hear it, some of the stuff was good and some of the stuff maybe is not so good. Because, I don't know. But just as all full disclosure. So anyway, I get this reading from him. And there was... so I don't remember everything he said because it was a long time ago. But he said... I'm trying to think of the things that came up. He didn't say anything about my looks or physique, so I don't know if that's because maybe it was bad and he didn't want to say it, or if it just didn't come up, it wasn't relevant. I don't know, but actually now I'm kind of blanking on a lot of this stuff. But there was one really there was a couple of interesting things he got. One is that he mentioned that you will have a very strained relationship with your father, which seems kind of like, I guess a lot of people do, but like, for me, like it was really, to give you an idea of how bad my relationship with my dad is, my dad died of cancer, and like there was a time where I told him that I hoped that the cancer killed him. And I know that sounds really bad, and it was, but yeah, we definitely had a strained relationship, to say the least. But we reconciled by the end though. But he said that you would that I would have a really strained relationship with my father. Um, he said that I would have an erratic sleep schedule. He said that I would be like a very poor dresser, dress like a slob. Um, and I mean, he said it nicely, but that's what he said. Um, he also had one really big miss, which is that he said that I would be like have an aptitude for art and art artistic and stuff. No, I'm a terrible artist. I have no aptitude for that whatsoever. Um, but here was a really weird thing: is he said a lot of the problems you're going to have in the early part of your life, up until the age of 27 or 28, when things start to change for you. He said is going to be the result of a traumatic your traumatic birth experience. It's showed this chart showing here that you had a very traumatic birth. I was like, no, I don't, not that I know of. I don't think so. And then he was like, "Are you sure? Because the chart's saying you had a very traumatic birth." And I said, "I don't know. I mean, I'll check. I'll ask my mom, but I don't know." And he's like, "All right, well, whatever." Um, so then I go and I ask my mom about it, and I say, like, "Mom, did I have like when I was born? Was that like a normal birth, or was it like really traumatic and like dangerous?" And she was like, "Oh my God, it was super traumatic. I almost died. I was in labor for like I can't even remember how long. They said you almost died. I almost died. It was horrible. It was absolutely awful." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that sounds pretty traumatic." Oh yeah, and they had to use forceps to deliver me apparently. And in before forceps jokes. Um, so I was like, huh, oh, okay. And yeah. So anyway, he was good. He was good. He definitely got some stuff. That was really impressive. What's weird though is that before I'd even talked to him, I had found this online Hindu astrology calculator that had actually done even better than he did. And this was just something that like spits it out like from a machine. And I've looked at other ones, and I've never been able to find one that was as good as this one. And that one didn't say anything about the traumatic birth, at least not that I remember. But it said it had a couple of interesting things. It said that your if not corrected, your two front teeth will like stick out, and that's like when I was a kid, other kids used to call me Bugs Bunny because my teeth stuck out so far, and that seems like a pretty good one. And then it also says, and if also you'll be prone to discoloration on those two teeth. And actually, I don't have it anymore, but I had these. I actually have fillings in both of my two front teeth because there was I had like cavities like at the gum line there. And then here's this was I think the most impressive one for it. It said between the ages of 18 and 26, you will have two nervous breakdowns, one leading to a suicide attempt. I mean, that's pretty specific for like just an online calculator, not even a person. And that was correct. Although my first nervous breakdown was actually at 17. And I think and it was then but the second nervous breakdown, I mentioned it before to you guys, did lead to a suicide attempt. That was really weird. And then it said things little, I don't know. I can't remember. Like I said, it was a long time ago. So I mean, like I wish I still had it. So I did one for my I can't remember what came. I think I tried doing one for my brother and my sister, and I can't remember how it came out. But I did one for for my brother's now wife, then girlfriend, and it was like so dead on. And there was this point in it where I was asking like. It said like it had this thing where it said like you will this person will frequently suffer from very serious anxiety. And I didn't really know her that well, so I asked my brother. I said, like, is this part true? And then he said, yeah, in fact, her anxiety is so bad that sometimes she'll get physically ill and throw up. And then I kept reading the thing, and it said, sometimes this anxiety will be so bad it will make you physically ill. Yeah. And then another thing is, one time, we had this. I was at my friend's house, and there was a neighbor, and like he was in a friend's apartment, and then he had an apartment neighbor who was down with us, and then we did it for her, and it was not only was it coming all up rap, but it said like she was like in her mid-30s at this time, and it said you will like, and by this time of the age it said you will be married twice, once to a once to a person from a foreign country, and that was true. One of her ex-husbands was from the UK, so I don't know, just totally dead on. I don't get it. I don't know what to say about it. So like I said, Jeffrey Armstrong was great, but honestly, the machine was better. So I mean, would I recommend getting a reading done? I don't know, man. I don't know if you're really like. I don't know. I don't really know what to think about astrology. I like generally. I would my advice is to stay away from anything of the occult. Um, I get why like a lot of people don't like it, because they don't like the idea that it inhibits free will or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel this. I mean, I'm definitely sympathetic with that, but it's not something I think about too much. It's kind of like, if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. And whatever. I don't know what that means for free will. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea how much free will there is. I don't know. You want to like feel like I have free will, enough free will to be responsible for my actions, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I think we're all responsible for our actions, but that's the only kind of thing I can say about free will. But I don't know anything beyond that. I don't know. You're morally responsible for your actions. So yeah, that was just that's my experience with astrology. It's like I said, I'm still interested in it. Still don't really know what to think about it. Certainly not necessarily recommending it though. I think better safe than sorry with the cult. But me, if I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig, I guess that's something else. But I wouldn't recommend it for anyone else. Yeah. Okay, guys, that's all for now, and we'll see you in the next.